In this video I'm going to show you how to make a jig for clearing the eyes on axes that have broken handles or need handles replacing or whatever. You need to clear out the eye. This is the jig to do the job. Before I start, this is my take on it. I got the idea from Roost of the Facebook page Axe Junkies, and also on the YouTube channel Axe Junkies. So all credit to Craig. Mine is slightly different. I've done a few little different things in it, but the principle is the same. So don't get on here then saying you should have done it this way, you should have done it that way. If you want to do it differently, go ahead and do that. This is how I made mine, and it's up to you what you do with that information then after that. So to begin with, I'll give you a breakdown on what you need or what I used. Okay, so to begin with, I used 14mm or 1/2 inch ply. This is PWB as opposed to OSB. The reason I used this is because I had some offcuts of it here in the workshop. So, from an 8x4 sheet of ply, I had an offcut like this, and this actually determined the size of my jig to begin with. So rather than ripping off new pieces, I just cut the pieces to length, and that's what left me with this, and determined the overall size of it. Okay, so here's our sheet of ply. Now, as I said, this was an offcut I had here, and that gave me a width of 9.5 inches or 24 cm. Okay, so that determined the overall width of each of the 3 sections of the main part of the jig. Now, to give me an efficient size jig, I decided to go with 14 inches, which is also 35.5 cm. Okay, so we're going to need 3 sheets of that, so 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go ahead and mark these out, and we'll start cutting out them. Okay, I've cut the 3 sections here, and as I said, they're 14 inches long by 9.5 inches wide, or 36 cm by 24.5 cm wide. So we need the 3 sections of them. That's the bottom, which is the plate, and the 2 sides. Okay, now we're moving on to the 2 blocks which form the anvil part of the jig, and this is a piece of stock I had here which is 4 inches square, or 10 cm thereabouts. As I said, these measurements are based off what I had lying around. I didn't get too fancy. I made do with what I have, and it worked out to be very efficient as it was. So as I said, this is a piece of 4 inch stock. If you don't have something like this lying around, you could probably get away with some blocks off pallets. If you had a couple of them, you can easily make do. Change your jig to size and see what you come up with. Anyway, I had some of this. It's a good heavy piece of timber, and that's what I wanted. So as I said, it's 4 inch square, and I wanted it to be approximately 5 inches long. Okay, so I'm going to mark that out here now with a pencil. There we go. 5 inches. And we're going to need 2 of these. Okay, there we go. 2 blocks, 4 inches square, 5 inches long. They're the anvils. Next of all, we're going to need to make our wedges. These are the wedges I have here, and for that we need a piece of stock, according to my jig, which is roughly 3 inches. So it's 3 by 2 piece of stock. Yeah, which is roughly 7 cm by 4.5. Okay, and we need a piece same length as the jig, 14 inches. Here's mine. That's the 14 inches marked out. Now while we're doing this, to make the wedges, you're going to need to come from one corner to the far corner, which will give you an even split. Here we go. One side, the other side. So I'm going to get that cut and then I'll come back to you. Okay, here's my 2 wedges. They're symmetrical, so it'll give me an even hole in the jig. What I've also done is I've drilled 2 holes in them. You can see there. And I've put in some paracord. This just makes it a little bit easier to remove them when you're finished clearing the eye. Okay, on both ends. As you can see. Now we have all the pieces that we need and we're going to start putting it together. Okay, here we go, first part of assembly. So we start with your baseboard. This is the board that it's all going to be mounted on, and you need your 2 blocks. 1, 2. Now what you need to do, just to keep everything ship shape, is find the midpoint on your baseboard. Put a little mark on the end just for reference, and the same block. Now the way I used to attach these was just with some simple drywall screws or chipboard screws, and I just put 3 on through each one on the bottom. That holds it securely. So when the whole lot is put together, it all locks together really well and it doesn't go. I know Craig Roost used some threaded bar, I think, or some heavy duty bolts. I may have to go down that road. I don't think so, as I've used it a few times now and it seems to hold fairly well. But for the moment I'm going to go with these screws. So basically what we're going to do is line up the midpoint for the 2 blocks, back and front, screw them together from the bottom of the baseboard. That'll hold it all in place. I'm going to do that here now, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I've got my 2 marks lined up and I have some screws pre-drilled here ready to go, so I don't have to hold it together while I'm trying to put it in position. I'm just going to drive those home. Flip it over and do the same on this one. I'll just line up my 2 marks, keep it all centralized. Okay, there's the 2 blocks all fixed into place. Now I'm going to start assembling these. This is the side panel. Okay, so that's the jig basically assembled. Now while I was, after putting the first one together and thinking about it, I've made a couple of changes. The first one I made was actually putting these holes and the paracord into the little wedges, or big wedges I should say, and that'll just help, makes it easier than pounding on them with hammers and stuff. Secondly, what I thought I could do is, yeah, it's great to have it where you can move it around like this. Sometimes you just want to lock something down securely, and for that reason I wanted a way to mount this in the vise. Now the way I came up to do that was to actually, first of all, cut a hole in the bottom. That'll allow any of the waste to fall through as you pound it out, give you a bit of clearance. Right, and all I did there was come inside here, the four corners, with a drill bit from the inside, drill them out, and then I just chiseled out the rest. Basically I could have taken it all apart and jigsawed it or whatever, but jigsaw is buried in the back of the press and I had a chisel handy, so I just tapped it out in a couple of minutes like that. So that's basically together like that. What I'm going to do then, so I can mount it in a vise, is I'm going to use another piece like this. I'm going to mount this in the vise here. And basically what I want in this is two pieces that are 5 inches long, same length as the anvil blocks that are in the jig. I'm going to cut them out here now. Now I'm going to mount these on the underneath of the jig. Okay, so here's the two offcuts, the battens. I've pre-drilled holes in them, and I have some screws here, some decent screws this time to hold it in place. I want these to be removable, and that's why I've pre-drilled holes and all, just to keep it out. You won't be chewing up any wood. So if you want to use a flat on the bench you can. If you want to put it in the vise, it'll only take you 2 minutes to do that. Okay, so I'm going to put these in place. Okay, there she's all chalked up in the vise, and here's the two wedges. 1, 2. I have a Collins Jersey X here that the eye needs to be cleared out on, and I'm going to do that now. When you're putting it in, you want to make sure the pole of the axe is sitting on one side of the anvil, and then push the wedge in, just get it nice and snug. Then push the other side wedge in, then gently tap them in. By hand is enough. Okay, here we go, it's all set. I'm going to time it. It's actually a little bit high for me here. I might cut down the sides about 1 inch and just give you a bit more clearance. But let's see how long this takes. I have a 14mm punch here and I'm going to pound it out. There we go. Done. Here's the waste. Now to remove your wedges, pull them out, and we have one cleared eye.